Good morning. Right, let's have a look at some news. Burkina Faso has terminated its non-double taxation treaty between Burkina Faso and the French Republic because it's lost alignment with Burkina Faso's interests. Just another nail in the coffin of French Africa. And I think a quite clear sign that the Victoria Nuland style of diplomacy that the West is trying to force on these guys is simply not working. Here is a letter from Mali to ECOWAS, and they are talking about the situation in Niger and asking that there be no military action there. It's an excellent letter. This is the translation. Please do stop to pause and give it a read. US and Europe seek control over Amazonia, Bolivian president says. Latin America and the Caribbean countries are a priority of the US national security strategy, which means that the region is of interest not only to the Department of State, but also to the US Department of Defense. The deployment of military bases in the region and in Amazonia is something that should attract our attention. We should be vigilant. This doesn't sound like the words of people that want military bases on their territory. I think that the Americans are swiftly becoming very unpopular with their wide-spreading military stuff. And actually, it's significantly impacting the people of America because there's no infrastructure being built in America. All your money is going on these Air Force bases. In this regard, we're concerned that Europe adheres to the same position. Some are seeking to control Amazonia by military means, others with the help of NGOs. We do not accept attempts to secretly control Amazonia. The world is waking up. The Japanese Organization for Metals and Energy Security will collaborate with Namibia's state-owned mining firm Epanglio. A Namibian Mines and Energy Minister official said on the sidelines of the signing ceremony in Windhoek. And I'd like to just draw your attention to these people. I think you can see from their expressions who got the better deal out of this particular signing. I trust the Japanese about as much as I trust the Europeans. Just saying. French defense chief claims Paris has saved thousands of lives in Sahel. Sahel? Please, someone tell me how to pronounce that. France Operation Barkhane was not a failure, said France's Armed Forces Minister Sebastien. I don't care. Responding to harsh criticism from 94 French lawmakers in a letter published earlier this week. I cannot let it be said that Operation Barkhane was a failure. Our army has never ceased to drive back terrorist groups in the Sahel, saving thousands of lives on the spot and protecting those of the French from the threats of attack on our soil. Please do let me know what impact on French soil there is of terrorists or otherwise being in Africa. I think the issue is that the French are the terrorists in Africa, and most of these dudes romping around with weapons have French provided weapons. So that's the problem, Mr. Defence Minister. Yeah. Calls to expel or recall US ambassador to South Africa growing louder as investigation into Lady R claims conclude. So this is about the suggestion. In fact, the it wasn't even a suggestion. It was a bold claim that South Africa had filled a ship that had come from Iran and was on its way to Russia and had stopped to refuel in a South African port, and they claimed that the Africans had filled this ship with weapons, and it led to a tanking of the South African economy. It led to talks of sanctions. There were a lot of threats. There was a lot of unrest. It was just a real low point in Western diplomacy. And I'm not surprised that they want to do something about it. And I'm very happy that they're continuing to discuss this, because it's really, really important that this sort of stuff is not allowed to continue. Ethiopia arrests over 3,000 suspected of belonging to terrorist groups and engaging in illegal activity. Ethiopia's National Intelligence Security Service announced that it analysed over 9,000 intelligence data in the last fiscal year and used the information for security problems. Well, I mean, I don't really know the ins and outs of Ethiopia, I have to say. If anyone from Ethiopia or with knowledge of that area could inform me, please do. I am on a live tonight with a lovely African man from 6:30, so I will be asking him his opinions on Ethiopia and other African countries, but please do let me know in the comments if you have any information about that. US media, developing nations on crusade to overthrow US-dominated world order, trade liberalization, national currencies pegged to the US dollar and other economic rules imposed on the developing world by the West are now being thoroughly reviewed by the Global South, according to the US media. The article, published in Bloomberg, emphasised that the Global South will no longer be satisfied with maintaining the status quo, the old world order under which the United States sought to bind every aspect of the world institutions. Now, one of my favourite things to do is to just turn Bloomberg on for a moment and watch them all crumble as the stocks plummet, and the slow realisation that as the US loses the dollar hegemony, they're not even going to be able to talk about stocks, because they ain't going to have a clue. If Saudi Arabia wants to sell oil to China, they don't have to tell anyone how much it's for. This, the very bones of their reality is soon to fall apart, and it's glorious to watch. So I do highly recommend that. But I also want to point out that this should come of no surprise. Okay, if there is a definition of in the dictionary of abuse of power, it would have the US State Department as the example of that. Okay, this is what these people have done. They've abused their power. Look at Niger. Niger was providing, 50% of the EU's energy? Loads of gold to France, and only 14% of people in Niger actually had access to electricity themselves. That says all that it needs to about what this old world order was actually doing for people. And this is what I, as a European woman, try and point out as much as possible. It was also not helping us, because look around you, look at your cities, look at your towns, look at how much it's costing you to live. We have not benefited from this US-dominated order. It's not supporting us. The US itself is putting vast amounts of money into more and more military bases around the world, even though its defence budget is 1 trillion a year or something ridiculous like that. But yet they can't build a bridge or fix a bridge or look after their own homeless. This doesn't benefit anybody. So we should all just get on with a new chapter, which will be better for everyone. Italian banks roiled by new bank tax. So Italy has imposed a 40% tax on bank profits. 40% tax on profits earned by banks from rising interest rates, and plans to use the money to help mortgage holders, sending bank stocks tumbling. Interesting economic choice, that. I feel like that could work, actually. I think that taxing banks and energy companies in this sort of windfall way is a good thing, because if someone's making lots of money, it would be a very, very good idea if that someone was the state, really, and that money was used to help everybody. Right, next up I've got a couple of graphs about the US consumer market and GDP, and I've got too many to put in 30 seconds. So I just want to use this time to wish you all well and tell you again that you can find my channel on Telegram, Diplomacy is Free Chat. You can find me on YouTube, Diplomacy is Free. I upload all my longer videos there. You can support me with my Buy Me a Coffee or my Patreon links. They are super helpful to me and my young family. Thank you all for your support, and I'll see you soon. Good morning. Right, let's have a look at some news. Burkina Faso has